Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Btrix from Btrix Designs. Here you will learn how to master Tunisian crochet and much more. If you don't want to miss anything, remember to subscribe and hit the bell, or you can visit my website at www.btrixdesigns.co.za. Enjoy! A very welcome to you to our first Tunisian-Along for 2019, the Patchwork Blanket Tunisian-Along. The whole aim here is to teach you all the basics of Tunisian crochet, but also to help you through troubleshooting areas, give you helpful hints and information, to teach you new techniques and more stitches so that you can have an exciting and inspirational fun along with us. Get ready and enjoy. Wow, don't you think our breadboard is just amazing? Well done, ladies, to all of you, and congratulations on your first attempt of Tunisian crochet, because I know most of you that we bragged with just now are real beginners in Tunisian crochet. And if you haven't joined the Tunisian-Along yet and you would like to, it's never too late. Today we will reveal part 2 of 6, and if you missed the previous part, the part 1, I will have the link for you down in the description section below. That is when you tap on the name of this video, or you can just click on and enlarge the description bar under my name. You will also find there the links to my website with the blogs on all the parts for this Tunisian-Along. And I also have all the lessons available for you where you can learn all the basics on Tunisian crochet to give you a great jump start. So let's start with part 2. In this section, let me just explain to you what we will do in this section. We will first reveal, of course, all the colors and the blocks that we are so waiting upon in anticipation. I know you are waiting and waiting for 2 weeks now. So today's the day. Okay. Then I will show you some more on the color changes, because I did find that many of you did struggle a little bit more on the color changes, but yes, I will show a little bit more on that for you today. I will also show you how I crochet away my yarn tails. Yes, I think you would like to see that, don't you? And then I will address the few common mistakes that we make and why we make it and how to correct them. So make sure that you watch this video from start to end so that you do not miss anything, because there are going to come a lot of nice information that you will find very helpful during your Tunisian journey. Let's kick off with the second section of the panels. Here at the bottom I have my second panel, and this part here below was the first section that we did now the past 2 weeks, and I hope that I gave you enough time to sort out all your troubleshooting areas in Tunisian crocheting with your journey. So today we will start with the second section, which is this upper section that I completed so that I can show you what it looks like, and I will show you more on this panel a bit later. But we will do the second section on my first panel for you today, where I will demonstrate some of the areas that I mentioned before. Now, I did find, or some of you asked me, can you make this blanket bigger? How can you do that? Some actually, and I think one of our brag photos did that, was making both the panel as one without a separate section that we will join at the end of this whole Tunisian-Along. Now I can just tell you, and you would have seen that on all the information on the blog, the approximate dimensions. The width of this blanket when it's finished will be 87 centimeters. Now that is basically the top of a basic single bed, and that will be the size. Now if you make 4 panels and you join them together, it will give you a width of a king size. You can add blocks to this basic pattern. You can take blocks away. You can mix and match your own blocks the way you'd like that. In the first part on the block, I did right at the bottom of the block, I gave you a PDF of the schematic of all these blocks so that you can see how they are laid together, and you can go and change that the way you want. And that is the challenges that I actually want to give you, to get out of your comfort zone and just do what you want. Play around with this pattern. I just want you to have fun at the end and make something that you like and that you actually want. Because it's so much work, so much time and effort. I always tell my students and my customers and my friends and my family, if you make something, make it worthwhile. Use good products, use good yarn, good fiber, use good tools, because the journey, you should enjoy it. Here I have my panel 1 with the first section, and now I want to continue with my other colors. Now if you make your 2 panels separately, I can show you a tip what to do with this loop that's on the hook, and I did that with this panel here. I used a stitch marker and I insert it into my loop that was on the hook so that I can keep it secure. Now let's kick off. We will do or use the vanilla color first for the first rectangular vertical rectangle that we will make. It's like this pink one here at the bottom, and again I will make my slip knot as we previously did, and that I'm sure you know by now how to do that. And when you finished a stitch on this last row of your previous panel, the only thing that you do is just insert your hook back into the previous loop and that last chain that you made, so that you can use your slip stitch to pull through those last loops on the hook, and then you will be ready to start with your next row. Now let me just quickly make my knot here at the back, and that is just to secure these yarn tails and this color change. And I normally use my color that I'm going to continue with to do the next thing that I'm going to explain to you, and that is how to work away or crochet away your yarn tails. The only thing that you are doing is actually you are like winding or twisting this yarn tail over the working tail with each stitch that you are making. That's basically all that you are doing. I'm going to demonstrate it to you in slow. I am not physically going to take this tail and throw it throw it over the working yarn every time, but what I will do is just the way that I use my hook and place my hook will be the secret. So all that I will do is insert my hook into my next vertical bar, because we are doing the simple stitch, and I will insert this hook under the working tail to get to my working yarn, to yarn over and just pull it under that tail to pull up the loop. Look at the tail where it is now. All right, now it's already in a position where it is over the working yarn again. So all that I will do, I will insert my hook into the next vertical bar and go over the yarn tail to get to my working yarn to yarn over. And again with the next stitch, I will go under the tail to get my working yarn for a yarn over. And again, I will go over that tail to yarn over with my working yarn. And again, I was over, so now I will go under, and then I will go over, and then I will go under, and then over. And look there at the back. I'll just pull it a bit. Let me just pull it tight so it can get nice and straightened out without slumpy loops. Let's do this again. You can see I will bring my tail from underneath the working yarn, and my hook goes under, pull up a loop, and now it's there on the top. So I will go, if that is on the top, and I will also go over it to yarn over. Now it's under again, and I will go underneath it to yarn over. And that is how you basically braiding. It's like braiding your yarn tail. Now I prefer to keep it when it's at the top. Then I will just continue with my stitches and keep a little tail for when I come back, because when I come back I will do exactly the same thing, and that makes the yarn tail to be worked like into one direction and back into the same direction as it came, just like you would have done with a needle. And it is secure. If you prefer to work it with the needle, you are more than welcome, but that is the way that I do that. All right, let's go on with our first vertical rectangle. And the stitch count that we'll need will be 17. Here I have my 17 loops in the vanilla, and now I will join my lavender color, or whichever color you are using in your patchwork blanket. You're welcome to use the colors from your own stash, any yarn. We discussed that on the blog already, and I gave you a lot of tips and tricks on my videos. So if you want to know how to substitute yarns, you can go to all the relevant videos. The links are below in the description bar, especially the wraps per inch video. That will teach you a lot about yarn substitution. So here again, I will make my slip knot and use that to yarn over for my first stitch. At the back, I will just secure this yarn tail again, and I will continue with my small square, which will be another 17 stitches that I will make in this color before I continue to the next color. So let's see, how many stitches do I have here? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Ah, it's at the join here of my previous blocks. And then again, the next color. Here we will be working with 5 different colors. So this makes it a little bit more challenging for you to do your color changes. But that is what this Tunisian-Along is all about. To teach you skills that you never done before. Or perhaps that you always struggled with. And we just improve it with this Tunisian-Along. All right, again, I am not crocheting all my yarn tails now because it will take some time for this video. I am just doing my different stitch or color changes so that you can see what I am doing with the first row. All right, so let's see how many I have here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and another one. Next color change. Adventurine is the color in Nurturing Fibers that we are using here. It's one of my favorite colors. I love the aqua colors and the purples and the pinks and all the blue tone colors. That's my favorite. Okay, let's continue with the next one. With a slip knot, yarn over, just secure it at the back, and we continue with the next small block for this section, and this will also be another 17 stitches. I'm just going quick so that I can get to finish this first forward pass on this row, and then my next color, which will be the fawn in this Nurturing Fibers Eco Fusion range. All right, I'm going to make a slip stitch, pull it through and secure it at the back with my working yarn, and we just continue. So that is basically how I will do the color changes on my first row, the forward pass of the first row, and I will also with that work away my yarn tails the way that I demonstrated to you there at the first color change, and when I get to that color change, I will just show you how I continue in the return pass to work away that tail. Now, previously in the first part, I did show you when to do the color change, and I even showed that to you in the video on color changes that is also available on my YouTube channel. Now here, remember, always into the direction that you are working. This is the yarn I'm going to drop, the fawn color. I will drop it over the next color that I will be using into the direction I'm working. I pick up the new color and I continue with the next yarn over and pull through while the previous color is in front of my hook, and when I need to work my first loop on that new color on the hook, and I will continue. That is what you will do every time when you are doing a color change, either in the forward or in the return pass. Always the dropped yarn, here I come to a color change section again. I have the previous color on the hook, the next color loop over the working yarn of the color that I need to pick up into the direction that I'm working, pick up the new color and continue. And that is how it's done during the return pass. Let's finish this section here, and I will show you again when I come to the next color change. There are so many color changes on this section here for the first few rows. It's so nice to just get this practice. Working yarn that I'm going to drop over the new one into the direction I'm working, pick up the new color. Look there, it is twisted there at the back, and continue working the first loop of the new color and finish those in the return pass. And now we will get to our first color again that we started on, and I will just do a drop, pull that a little bit tighter so that I can drop it over the working or the new color, which I will pick up and I will complete. Now, if you worked away your tails the way I showed you, now we get to the return part. Remember I told you that I will leave my tail when it's at the top. Now when I return, I will put it over my working yarn and I will yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Now it's underneath, but also it's on the side where you come from with your work, not in the direction on the side that you are working to, but where you come from. So what I will do now is I will insert my hook underneath, because it's like put it underneath, grab my working yarn to yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Automatically it jumps to forward, basically to the side in the direction that I'm working at. Now when it's like that, I will just put it over my working yarn so that I can go over it to yarn over and pull through. Then I'll go again under it, yarn over, pull through. Go over it, yarn over, pull through. You will see every time it's like this thread, this tail is automatically in the position it should be, depending if I go over it or under it. And at the back it will weave away exactly like it did when I did the forward. So on the forward, I crochet away into the forward, and now on my return, I return it also backward. And that is how I crochet away my yarn tails. On the front, you don't see any difference. You just continue with your work, and at the back, it looks nice and neat and tidy. From here on, I will continue with my yarns and complete the blocks and the rectangles according to the schematic that I showed you earlier on this video as well, but you can also find that on the blog on my website if you want to download it. I also updated the PDF on the schematic. Here we are with the color change again. I just want to get the working yarns here. Remember, into the direction that you are working, you drop your yarn over the one that you need to pick up. And then you just continue. Now what I also like to do in the forward and the return, when I do the color changes, during that transition, the minute I continue with my yarns, I make sure that all my loops are on the shaft of my hook, and I just pull a bit on all the threads or all the yarns, just to make sure it's not loose and sloppy, and to keep my tension consistent. And this is how I will continue up to the next color change. And what do we do when we drop our yarn that we're busy with? We drop it over into the direction that we are working, over the new yarn that we will pick up, and we will just continue with the color that we picked up. At the back, you'll see it will look nice and tidy. It looks like pull stitch in knitting. When you do color change in knitting and you work in the pull stitch, it will look exactly the same. Look here. This is what it will look like and what it will look like. So there you go. A few tips on this panel that you can try. Continue with the colors. Follow your schematic on the colors and how way to change which colors and do what block or what rectangle. This section is a little bit bigger than the first one, so yes, I'm turning up the heat this week, so you will have slightly more crocheting to do. And yeah, let's continue to a few mistakes that I realized you struggle with at times and how to correct that. Here I made a little sample for you. I wonder if I hold it like this, if you can see some mistakes here in the piece that I made. Well, I'm sure some of you can see it, but let me show you. Can you see here I have my first row, my foundation row. I have one row, another row, another row. But if you look at this row, what's happening here? There's a row, but it doesn't seem to go into this one. There, that one is going. So there's a row that's done only halfway. All right. there's a complete row. That one, you just look at the chains. You remember that the chains indicates the row. You can easily see that. Here's another one. Oh, this one also stops here halfway, because that one you can see it continues as one. So there's half of a row and there's half of another row. Now what happened here? Okay, some of you might have experienced it already during the first part of this Tunisian-Along, but let me explain to you what happened. Is when you did on this one, you did a forward pass, but you did not complete your forward pass. You did it halfway. Perhaps you put your work down, made some tea, or gave attention to the kids. Then you picked up your work again and you didn't realize that you were busy with a forward pass. You just started returning, and then you continued with the rows. On this one, you were actually returning. Maybe the same thing happened. You did not complete the row before you put it away. When you picked it up back up, you did not realize and remember that you were busy with a return pass. You just continued to forward. Pick up loops again and complete a return pass on that row. These are actually, it's got a term, a name. It's called short rows. If you were a knitter, you might be very familiar with short rows because it is used for shaping mainly, and in Tunisian crochet it's also used for the same reason. But if you are not supposed to do any shaping in your piece, then these are mistakes. So how can I correct that? Now, when you want to rip your Tunisian crochet work, if you're a knitter, you might be familiar with ways how to rip your knitting work without just ripping the whole piece apart. If you are a crocheter, you know that it's much easier to rip crochet work up to a certain row. It's way easier than the knitting. But in Tunisian crochet, because it's also crochet, it's easy to rip a row or two, because it's not like in knitting that you rip or one of the stitches can run down and you lose the work. Now, instead of ripping it stitch by stitch or row by row, and now perhaps you want to rip it up to this stitch here, but now you have your loops on that's not on a hook, and these can also pull out of these loops and you will struggle to pick it up. I know the easiest way will be when I come to this row here, I will rip it up to this row. So what I'll do, I'll pick the row that I want to stop my work at, and I will just pick up those front vertical bars off the row. All right, like this. But now I don't want to pick it up to here. I want to pick up that one. And now I will rip my work. And look what's happening. Now I'm ripping the piece that I returned without completing it. Okay, can you see? There I put it in the wrong stitch. I should have picked it up into that one. And there you go, and you are done. Now you can complete a forward pass like this. But what else you can do, if you want to rip work up to this stitch, but you don't want to take out the whole row on the return. You pick it up and make sure that you pick up the chain just after it, just before you would have yarn over and pull through 2 loops. That last chain you'll have to pick up as well, so that you do not rip the rest of that row. There you will be ready to complete a return pass, and you can continue. So these are 2 common mistakes: making short rows where there should have been short rows, and just the easy way for you to, when you need to rip and you don't want to rip everything, you're not sure how far your ripping needs to go, and you don't want to lose the loops of your forward pass, you just pick up those loops, but make sure up to the stitch that you want to rip, you just pick up that chain stitch that you need to yarn over and complete with the stitch where you need to stop your ripping. Alright, so that is one common mistake that we do make in Tunisian crochet, and how you can do some of the corrections to help you in your ripping. Now I just quickly want to show you how my panel 2, what it looks like. I did not sew away any yarn tails, but the colors that we use for the kit in the the Nurturing Fibers Eco Fusion range, just look at the lovely vibrant colors. This was the first section of the panel for part 1, and here is the second section from here to there. These are the 5 colors that you will have to work with at once. Here you will change to 4, and then you will go to only 3 colors. And then next week I will reveal the 3rd section. So happy crocheting this week. Until next time. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you found anything valuable, please share this with your crochet friends. Also, you can leave a comment if there's anything that you would like to see in the future. And remember to subscribe. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.